video you'll find all the information that the glossy travel brochures tend to ignore, like how easy it is to get here, how easy it is to park, and can you get here by public transport. Plus, we'll reveal what you'll find when you wander around town. As well as covering the main tourist attractions, we'll also answer the simple basic questions, like is there somewhere where the kids can let off steam? Or is there a cinema or theatre? Or are the streets just full of gift shops? We'll even tell you about local amenities, such as churches, medical services for both people and pets, plus whether there's a post office or bank. So stick around for the next 10 minutes or so and enjoy our indispensable guide to Windermere and Bowness. Welcome to Windermere, a town in the English Lake District, not to be confused with the lake of the same name. Despite sharing its name with the lake, Windermere is not actually on the lake shore. It stands on the hills overlooking the lake. The lake shore is 1.5 miles down the road, so if lake frontage is what you're after, you'll have to move on to Bowness. Don't worry, that's later in the video. Windermere is on the A591, the main arterial route through the Lake District. It's about 25 minutes from junction 36 of the M6. There is time-limited parking in the town, and for those who want to stay a little bit longer, a small pay and display car park on Broad Street. It also has a railway station. In fact, it's the only one of the central Lake District towns to have a rail link to the national network. It's quite unique in another way. Most stations are named after the town they serve, but here it's the other way around. There was no town here when the railway came. The station is named after the lake, and when the town grew up around the railway station, it took its name. The old station is now a supermarket. The new station is part of the town's transport interchange. There are buses to most parts of the Lake District, taxis to take you to your hotel. You can even hire a bike. Nearby is the town's tourist information centre. It is also the booking point for minibus tours. Windermere is a practical place. If you like shopping, then this is the place for you. The Lakeland Limited Superstore is next to the station. In fact, the store was built in the old station coal yard. In the town, there are shops for gifts, shops for cats and dogs, a rather handy old-fashioned hardware store, plus a well-known holiday reading emporium. There are art galleries to titillate the senses, including one showing what the town looks like on a rainy day. The post office, where you can do much more than post a letter, is very much open and part of the community. There are pubs for a relaxing drink, cafes and restaurants for a bite to eat, and a traditional fish and chip shop. Now, this looks a bit different. Discreetly tucked away in the town library. There's a nice little garden just adjacent to the library, commemorating the region's role in helping Holocaust survivors back in 1945. Inside the library, there's a small yet thought-provoking exhibition. Orphan children who survived Nazi concentration camps were brought to Windermere in 1945 to start their repatriation. From the hell that they had experienced, it must have seemed like heaven on earth. The Baddeley clock is on the road between Windermere and Bowness. It commemorates Mountford John Bird Baddeley, who lived in Windermere during the latter part of his life and who edited a series of Victorian guidebooks, including one for the Lake District. The clock tower also marks the boundary between Windermere and Bowness. Next door to the clock stands the Millennium Stone, marking the presence of a time capsule to be opened in the year 2100. In all probability, I won't be attending. Bowness is on the A592, the main road between Newbury Bridge and Ullswater. From Windermere, it is just a mile and a half down the road to the shore of the lake. Bowness is a much older settlement. In 1203, it was large enough to warrant the building of a church, to save the residents having to make the 10-mile journey to Kendal every Sunday. By 1348, it was big enough to become a parish in its own right, and the church became its focal point. The village was at the forefront of the fledgling tourist industry long before the railway reached Windermere in 1847. At the beginning of the 19th century, the town had 2 inns and a number of lodging houses. Consequently, when the railway arrived, it was well placed to benefit from the new source of visitors. The main attraction then, of course, was the lake, and it still is today. Whether you fancy going for a cruise or hiring a boat of your own. Close by there is plenty to enjoy, like a spot of crazy golf, or a round on the pitch and putt course. Anyone for tennis? Or you could feed the ducks. OK, that's not a duck, but you get my point. Maybe a spot of shopping is the order of the day. There's plenty of choice. There's all manner of goods on offer. Can even buy yourself a speedboat. Sadly, though, there's no children's play park. Although there's a good one at Miller Ground, a mile to the north of Bowness on the A592. Of course, you could just take in the peace and quiet with a nice relaxing stroll around Cockshot Point, where there's space to stretch your legs or just sit and watch the world go by. Away from the lake, there are narrow streets to explore and plenty of shops to browse around. Or you could follow Peter Rabbit back to your childhood and enjoy the world of Beatrix Potter attraction. If you are of a nautical persuasion, Windermere Jetty Steamboat Museum might float your boat. It has an excellent cafe, or so I'm told. If you're on a day trip and travelling by car, there are 3 main car parks in Bowness, as well as the smaller one in Windermere. For those wanting to stay a little bit longer, there are plenty of hotels and guest houses, both in Windermere and Bowness. Self-catering properties are abundant too. There are plenty of cafes and restaurants in both towns. If you fancy abandoning the car, Bowness has cruise boats to Ambleside, Lakeside and Brockhall, as well as a pretty good bus service linking both Bowness and Windermere with the Central Lakes. Plus a ferry to cross the water. Windermere and Bowness are surrounded by low hills, which offer relatively easy walking to those who are able to get out onto the fells. Orist Head is a popular walk which starts from close to Windermere Station. It was the first Lake District hill that the famed fell walker Alfred Wainwright ever climbed, back in 1930. Although he didn't see this chap on the way up. He was so transfixed by the view from the top that he went on to walk all the fells and write his famous guidebooks. The view that you see from the top today is practically the same as the one he saw over 90 years ago. Brant Fell, which stands above Bowness, is also very popular. It takes about 30 minutes, and it's moderately steep for most of the journey. But when you reach the top, you're rewarded with some commanding views over Windermere town and the fells beyond. If you want to visit a church when in the area, then you're spoilt for choice. There's C of E, Catholic, Methodist, and a host of other churches available. On the health side of things, there are 2 health centres, one close to Windermere Church and the other midway between Windermere and Bowness. There's also a vet with a dental surgery next door on the road between the 2 towns. There are another 2 dentists in Windermere, plus an optician. Windermere has 2 chemist shops, a post office, 3 food shops, and independent butchers, plus, at time of filming, it still has a bank. Bowness also has a post office, as well as a Co-op and a Tesco Express, along with a number of artisan food shops. In Bowness, the Royalty Cinema has 3 screens for those rainy days picture shows. Set beside the World of Beatrix Potter attraction is the Old Laundry Theatre, a small theatre with a big reputation. They run an autumn season, so if you're visiting later in the year, look it up online or pop in to find out what's on. So there you have it, my simple guide to Windermere and Bowness. I hope you found it useful. If you did, you can always subscribe to the channel. Until next time, happy wandering.